It is January 16th, 2017, 1:58 p.m. And just wanted to just ramble a little bit and give my take on today. Today is a federal holiday that we celebrate the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And this holiday means a lot to me, as many holidays go. In particular, Veterans Day and Memorial Day hold significance for me as well. And in years past, I sang the song Pride in the Name of Love by U2. And that song talks about Martin Luther King Jr. This is early morning, April 4th, shots ring out in the Memphis sky. Free at last, yes, they took your life, but they could not take your pride. And I'll just out myself. I'm 36 years old. I was born in 1980, so there was no way that I ever could have met Martin Luther King Jr. personally. But I've researched the 60s quite extensively. I enjoy the music of that era very much. And I have watched movies that take place in that era. And I've always felt drawn to that decade. I can't explain why, and who knows, it's all up for speculation. But for about as long as I can remember, probably ever since I was about 11 or 12, I have felt that my calling was to be a human rights activist. And only recently, as in a couple of months ago, did I realize what my activism was going to specialize in, and it's prison reform. And I've had 3 years of hands-on experience on what it's like to be a prisoner, so I pretty much feel I'm qualified to speak on what this country's prisons need to change. But that's neither here nor there. That's not the basis of this blog today. Most kids these days do not understand the civil rights movement. They don't understand the impact. A lot of the rights and privileges and procedures that are carried out today are taken for granted by today's youth. And I know that I am of the pasty-faced complexion group, and I've always found racism to be illogical and, in my humblest opinion, very stupid. I think it takes a very narrow mind to separate people into groups and demean them just because of what they look like, or just because what they may or may not believe, or what they may or may not eat, or anything that can be looked upon with disgust or whatever. In the Christian Bible, there's a scripture somewhere that says, perfect love casts out all fear. And that's what hate basically is it's fear. It's a passionate fear. And it's a fear of the unknown. And Martin Luther King Jr., he had a message of love, a message of peace, a message of nonviolent protest. That you can disagree with something, but it's how you disagree with it that makes it right or wrong. And if you disagree with it by just very politely saying, look, that's wrong, I don't like that, I want to be treated with dignity and respect, and you say it in a polite way and you hold your ground, then that's appropriate. Fighting it, fighting the system by using violence, this whole blue lives matter, black lives matter, this, that, and the other. You know what? All lives matter. There are good cops out there. Not very many that I can see, but I think that's because the bad cops get the most publicity. You know, what do we see on the news more often? The bad news. We don't get the good news anymore. If we do, it's this cute little puff piece that they had to like worm in because they didn't, they didn't make up the time allowance or whatever, so they need a little fluff piece to kind of round out the news hour. I'm not stupid. I was the high school editor of my school paper, and I also studied a little bit of journalism because I was a little bit interested in journalism when I was a teenager until I learned about censorship and about how the media conglomerates of this world are bought and paid for by corporations and people with money. They decide what's news, not the journalists themselves. So, whatever. My point is on this day, I would ask all of you, if you could please just take, even if it's just a minute, 60 seconds out of this day, and just think about what it must have been like to live as a minority in the 50s and 60s. And how people like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Mahatma Gandhi, JFK even, and all these other activists, Abby Hoffman, John Lennon, and so many others, Medgar Evers. I just think about how much of an impact they have had on the history of this country. And I know for me, I silently thank God for them, that they were not afraid to speak their mind and stand up for what they believed in and fight in the proper way for justice and equality for everyone. And so that's about it. Sorry if I get a little bit emotional. Any kind of social injustice, it really chaps my ass. So, it moves me to tears, but then it also angers me. So, but that's pretty much it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And, thanks for tuning in. So, peace.